So basically, so nice to meet all of you. What I want to say, but of course, it's a great pleasure to meet you, Maria, because your success is the result of long work, long commitment from both sides. And I'm very happy that you made it. Alors, basically, can you maybe introduce yourself to the 4 students who are with us today?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Like when
Maria.
you introduce yourself for the MBA program, the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. So I studied in ICADE.
Hmm?
I did a double degree and did 2 years in Spain and 2 years in Germany. And then I started working at Accenture.
Hmm?
And after that, I decided that I wanted to do an MBA. So I applied to like a few MBAs, like Columbia, INSEAD, and I got accepted into Columbia
Hmm?
for January 2025.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's why you're here. Okay. So basically, what you have to see, maybe you don't know all of you, but Columbia is one of the few, is the only top MBA program that has 2 intakes, the January and the September. Of course, there are many more people starting in January, but you can also start in September, in December. And the December intake is slightly easier than the September intake. Okay. The only problem that you have when you do the December intake, you will finish at the same time as the others who started in September. So basically, you'll have no internship. Okay. So basically, that's why it's an ideal program. For instance, if you work for an MBB, so if you work from Ben, BCG, McKinsey, and you're going to go back there, you can do a 16 months program because you don't have to get an internship to find a job. Also, if you want to go into entrepreneurship, where you say, I'm going to use the 16 months to build my company, but of course, if you're an engineer, you don't know what you want to do and you need an internship because you may work in engineering, may work in industry, may work in consulting, or may work in banking. The 16 months program is not the right program for you. Okay? Voilà. So basically, um, on that respect, Colombia is the same as IE, HEC, INSEAD that have 2 starting dates, September and October. Okay? Alors, the first thing that I promise that I want you to see is that why you're already a graduate from ICADE, you come from a good family, you have a good family business, okay? You could, after your work experience, develop and manage a family business. Where have you decided to go for an MBA? You believe that your education was not good enough? Then
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was that I was in consulting and I want to change industries. I wanted to change into finance, and I have already done internships in finance before I joined consulting. So I was pretty sure about that, and I thought an MBA would be like the perfect place to maybe build more foundations in finance and do a career change. I didn't put that in the application, but
yeah. But
that's
the whole idea is that you want to make a career switch. And
yeah.
of course, Colombia is the right place to make a career switch. By the way, you have to see that we send a lot of students to Colombia because we are based in Italy, France, UK, and in India, and we send a lot. And by the way, the person who interviewed Paola was my student. You were interviewed by one of my students who graduated like 2 years ago. What was his name already? The guy who interviewed you from Portugal.
Portugal, yeah.
Joao from Portugal. Okay, basically, to give you an idea, Joao graduated from Colombia. Now he's managing his own investment fund in the US. So I can see that he was working in data science and now he's managing an investment fund in New York. So I can see that he went to the right school. Okay. Well, basically, I imagine that the first thing that you have decided to do, your first action to go for an MBA was to go to meet Kevin and prepare for the GMAT.
Yeah.
Alors, how was the preparation like with Kevin? And you're talking now to 4 students who are also in his GMAT class. So, what piece of advice would you give them? Then,
I would say like the hard exercises that Kevin gives you are like really important because once you get to like those hard math questions, they really do repeat themselves and like the the strategy that Kevin gives you like actually does work. So I found it really, really useful to like go back and, for example, for permutations and all of that, just go back on my notes and be able to do those exercises, because I know like just from doing exercises I wouldn't be able to get them in the time that you need to get them. So I would say definitely that, and then doing a lot of exercises. I would say the math for me was where I would fail the most, more than English, and just working on that from like doing the hard exercises. Once I redid them, like my score really went up.
Okay. So I would say, because knowing Kevin quite well, I would say that the asset of his class is, one, it gives you the knowledge, because Kevin knows the class very well, and he has built his own class. So, and I know him well, so I know that every year he improves his class. So really, he gives you the knowledge that you need. Then he will give you the right material, because he focuses a lot on the test itself, so on official material. Okay. And then at the same time, you get individual attention, because Kevin gives you 8 hours of private tutoring after the end of the class. Okay. Have we said enough, Kevin? So what is your secret so that the student gets such good scores? So what is your secret? Can you share with us what is your approach? And what do you advise to people who want Columbia, INSEAD, and the likes?
Well, I think anybody wants to maximize their score. Once you finish the 5 weeks of group classes and you start practicing, don't disappear.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do. They disappear and they contact me 3 days before the exam asking for tips. Remember, you're going to do probably 6 or 4 simulations, practice tests before the exam. And it's really important. You do a practice exam and we review it together before you do the second practice exam. A lot of people say, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I thought I could improve the score on my own. Remember, it's your responsibility to get in touch with me and ask for that private class so we can improve your score after every practice test. A practice test is like weighing yourself. You don't lose weight by weighing yourself. It's what you do between weighings that makes a difference. You don't improve your GMAT score by doing practice tests. It's what you do between the practice tests that helps you improve.
Yeah, exactly. So it's something that I see a lot, because I follow a lot of the students, and I notice that, yes, they don't want to bother Kevin after the 8 hours of class. But I would say that one of the biggest asset of his class is these 8 hours of private tutoring. Okay, because you have to see that an expert like Kevin normally costs $150 per hour. Okay, and it's already the price of the class. So basically, you have a lot. It gives you you have a very good price for money, very good value for money with him. And yes. And what do you advise, Kevin? You advise people. When I talk to them, okay, I tell them, take a test and review it with Kevin. Okay, you advise them to review a test with you, or to come with questions that they cannot solve. What do you advise to do during these 8 hours?
Well, we'll go through the test. Ideally, you record the screen during the verbal section, because unfortunately, the practice software does not allow you to review the verbal questions without seeing the correct answers. And when you're reviewing a practice test and you want to go through the verbal questions, you don't want to see the correct answer right away. Because if you do, you're practicing a skill that you don't need for the exam, which is to convince yourself that the correct answer is correct. Your job is to find the correct answer. So record the verbal section through Zoom or through an application, record your screen. And in the quant section, all I need from you is for you to send me a photo of your workings, of your scratch work, your rough work. So as soon as you finish your simulation, take photos of your work and send it to me, so that when we go through the practice test together, we can focus on the questions that you struggled with. Maybe you got them right, but I can look just at your notes to see which ones we can improve. Maybe instead of spending 4 minutes on a question, we can spend 2. Or instead of spending 2, we can spend 1 and get more time for you. That's by far the most time-consuming part, is to make sure that you improve how you do the questions. Good? Because if I don't have your notes, I can show you what I would do. This is how I solve the question. But it's more important for me to look at what you do and say, okay, this is what you do. I'm going to improve what you do. Good? Because what I do may be not what you would do. Because the math system in North America is very different from the math system here in Spain. It's all math, but there are typical ways that Europeans do questions that is foreign to North Americans and vice versa. And so I have to adapt to what you do. Good. That's why it's important for me to have your notes.
Exactly. Yeah. And so Kevin insisted a lot on time management, and he's right. Okay. You know, when you take the official test or any test that you buy, they will tell you how much time, whether you buy Magouche, you get the official test, GMAT, whatever, they will give you the time that you spend. And of course, it's something very important. But by the way, Kevin taught me a lot, because sometimes we could see that students, they don't do well. And I see that time management is important. So he will tell you how much time you have to spend, that's no more than 2 minutes. And also how you solve. Yeah. And he's right, because solving a GMAT or a GRE question is not the same as solving the type of question that you had when you were in math. Anyway, it's more like reasoning than mathematics in reality, this type of test. Okay. How many tests did you do yourself, Maria? How many tests?
I did all of the official ones, and then you gave me an extra website, I remember, and I did like not all of them, like half of them.
I gave you an extra website, so maybe it was the official website as well that I gave you. No?
No, it was another one where there were more exams.
Yeah, because Kevin, as you know, there are other tests available. So for instance, and you know, Kaplan, they offer free tests, Princeton Review, they offer free tests. So that's something that when they ask me, I give it to students. So because you know, all top test prep company have a free test.
That's right. Especially for the quant section. It's good. I think it's good to do outside tests, mostly for the quant section.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to replicate good quality quant section questions. Verbal questions are a different story.
Yeah, it's true that verbal question, it's difficult to have to produce test-like questions, especially for reading comprehension. Very difficult to have a good reading comprehension questions. Yeah. By the way, there is a lot of material available, and probably Kevin, you advise also students to go on GMAT Club, because on GMAT Club you also have a lot of realistic questions that are because they have a database of the math question or the GMAT question for the last 20 years. So it's quite a lot. Okay. So that's the first part. So then came the selection of the programs. Okay. So usually it's true that when I work with Kevin students, same thing for students in Paris or in London, wherever, they usually pick up US programs or European programs. So when they pick up US programs, they pick up what we call the M7, so that you know what it is. Or when they pick up in Spain, European programs, they take INSEAD, LBS, and IAC. Okay, you have decided to juggle, okay, and to talk both of US and European programs. Why both of them? Why US and European programs? Why not just US? Why not just European programs, Maria?
For me, well, it was mainly US, but I was undecided between doing an MBA and a master's in finance. So it was either INSEAD or US for an MBA, or I was thinking about doing a master in finance in London, so LBS and the CEO of those. But I finally decided that I would do an MBA. So when Columbia accepted me, I decided to take that offer instead of doing LBS and LSE and all of those.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, Maria, what made you decide to do an MBA rather than a master's in finance?
I think because I'm not really sure between doing consulting in finance or doing just like finance, like in a bank, or like after I leave the MBA. So I think the MBA is like a good in between where I can focus in finance, especially in Colombia. But if I do want to go back to consultancy, I can.
Okay.
Right. Good.
That's something that you have to see is that some students who have like 1 year of work experience, they may hesitate between master in finance, post experience, and MBAs. Okay. So if you really know what you want to do, if you I don't know, if you're a consultant, you have worked as 1 year as a consultant, and you know that you want to become an investment banker, go for a master in finance. Okay, because it's a better way to get into it. And plus, these master in finance are shorter. They take 1 year. So we send a lot of people to HEC MIF, ESSEC MIF, but also in the US to a Yale. Yale has a good master in finance. Chicago has a good master in finance. MIT has a good master in finance, and Columbia. I have a lot of students currently applying for this masters. Okay. Now, if you're a bit older, don't go for this type of masters because they will probably not take you, and so go for an MBA. Now, what I want to say is that I have students who have done a master in finance, okay, who work in investment banking, others who work in graduate programs to become CFOs of Fortune 500 companies, and others work in consulting, and others who do something completely different. So it's not because you have a master in finance that you're going to work in finance. So for instance, me, I have a master in finance. When I was at École Normale Supérieure in France, I went to Sciences Po Paris and I did a master in finance. Okay, and then I worked with my father in his publishing house. So I was working in cultural activities before becoming a professor. Okay, so what I want to say is that a master in finance can lead you anywhere. Okay, I have students who went to anywhere. Of course, 80% will work in finance, but it's well recognized. And if you master finance, many companies will take you. Okay, because it means that you have good understanding of numbers, you understand financial statement, and this is very necessary. Whatever you do in a company, even if you, as an entrepreneur, for instance, even. Okay, it helps me a lot to understand finance. Every time I've been tax audited, I've never had any fine because I understood finance well, and I could explain everything to the tax inspector. You make a mistake here, you make a mistake here. I never got any fine, never. Okay, because I understand finance. I save a lot of money with that, believe me. Okay, so so that's what we have. Kevin, you have a question for Maria?
No, mainly how to choose between the master's in finance and MBA. And,
Yeah, we saw that.
I understood her response. That made sense. I mean, I don't give people advice on where to apply. I'm just a GMAT. That's all I do.
I want to ask a question to Maria. How long did it take you to start deciding to do an MBA and like finish your application? And how long was the process?
I would say it's pretty long because once you finish your GMAT, you start working on your essays with, well, I was working on my essays with Dr. Hubert, and it was like a lot of work because if you're applying for more than one, like the essays, you do have to think a lot about them. Like Columbia, I think it was 3 essays. Stanford was another 2. So there were quite a few. And then the application opened in June, so I finished my GMAT in February, and in like the 15th of June, I had already finished my application. I would say that be careful when doing the application. Don't leave it until the last minute because it's much more work than you think. Like not only the essays, even if you do have the essays done, you also like there's a lot of information that they ask of you, and you may not have everything like I don't know, your university grades or a lot of things that you might not have, and it's just easier if you do it like when they open because you'll be able to see everything you have and everything.
Alors, it's another thing that I want to tell you, okay? For the time being, most of the students that have in admission consulting, they have not taken their GMAT, okay? A lot of our students are going to apply in January, and what I tell them, I say, have the application ready by mid-October so that you can focus on your GMAT, because if you don't do so, you'll have a lot of work, plus you'll have your application, plus you have your GMAT or your GRE. It's going to be a nightmare, okay? Usually what I do is that I make sure when I talk to TD students, I say, work on your application as soon as you can, okay? And anyway, you have a good idea For instance, I give you an example. If you're an ICADE student, I never had an ICADE student who didn't go to at least London Business School or INSEAD. And if they apply for US programs, the worst program that they got was Chicago. Okay, so I know that if you're an ICADE student, it will work. So I have worked now in Spain for 5 years. I started to work with Kevin in mid 2019. So I understand. Plus, I'm a professor, so it's my work. Okay, so I know the education system. By the way, my specialty as a researcher is business school. Okay, so I'm one of those 5 in the world who research on business schools. Okay, so I know this world pretty well. I also have kids. So I have 4 kids. So believe me, I follow that carefully. So basically, already even before you take the GMAT, I will be able to see if you can get or if you cannot get. I'm sure that Kevin has the same thing. You agree, Kevin? When you have someone who comes from ICADE, you know that the person will score minimum 655. You agree, Kevin?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty good at predicting how people will do pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But there's always exceptions. There are some people who exceed my expectations and others that fall short. But I would say, generally speaking, if I know that somebody's has got a good GMAT score inside of them, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, matter of time. So basically, that's why you can start to work on your application pretty soon. Anyway, you're going to say, okay, people who work with me, people who went to my school, who work with me, where have they been accepted? INSEAD, Columbia, MIT. So basically, I can target the same type of school. Okay? Okay. And so you can work on your application as soon as possible. And then you work on your GMAT at the same time, but you can don't do at the last minute, because, for instance, those who apply in January, I fear that many will not be done by November, and then you'll have the application, you'll have your job, it's the end of the season, you'll have your GMAT, and it will be too much. Okay, so try to do, don't procrastinate, try to do things in advance if you can. Okay, so that you don't find yourself inundated with a lot of workload, application, and GMAT. Okay. Now, basically, Maria, the question that I'm asking you is a bit stupid, because I think that we started to work on Columbia. You got Columbia, and then you have not applied to the others, because we wrote the application, but you did not apply to INSEAD, and you got accepted to Columbia, and you stopped the process. Am I right? Or
Yeah.
Okay?
So
we stopped.
But I had the essays for everything, and I had like the
everything
applications done.
Okay.
But yeah, because my first choice was Columbia. So
yeah. Why is it your first choice? But the question is a bit stupid, because you see that me, I like America. You can see with the banners that I have above my head, so that I'm. By the way, Kevin, you know what I found out yesterday? That when you study at MIT, and if you major in entrepreneurship, okay, MIT gives you $500,000 to launch your company, and they ask you nothing in exchange. Okay, $500,000. I have 2 students who are launching their companies together. It's to improve the quality of hospitals, it's data science, etc. And they told me, I said, but how would you do? They say, we will receive $500,000 if you launch our company, and they will be at the MIT incubator. Really, when you read this type of thing, you say, but why go to INSEAD? Honestly, you agree?
Yeah.
And you remember the Kevin, this girl that we had who got Stanford, what was her name? She was from Cuba. She was Claudia. Remember Claudia?
Yeah, Claudia, right.
With Kevin, we had a girl called Claudia. She got Stanford. And can you imagine, after Stanford, they say, we give you $100 million, $100 million, okay, not 100 euros, $100 million, to find companies, to invest this money, and you become the CEO of this company. Okay, can you imagine? Okay, you can fail, but they give you $100 million maximum to identify an entrepreneur, invest in the company, and manage the company until it is IPO'd or sold. That's something that you cannot get in Europe. You agree? Luca, Ines, Alvaro, Carlos. Nobody will give you so much money. Okay. So Claudia, we have the example. So why Columbia, and why you have decided to just stop the process once you got Columbia?
Well, I stopped for the European schools. I did apply to Stanford, and I'm waiting to hear from them. But basically, I did want US. I preferred the US programs. I did decide to do an MBA after all. So the only other uni I was really looking at was INSEAD, and I did like Columbia more than INSEAD. First of all, because it was New York, then because I just liked the program better. I think for me, it's like very international, a lot of opportunities, and once I got to know them, it was just really clear to me just because of the program. One thing I would say is when you do the applications, do try to go to events that the universities do. Like INSEAD does an event in BCG, I think. Columbia also does one. They really remember your face. And when they called me, they actually, the one I met was the one who called me, and she remembered me. So that is like really important because it shows that you really want to go.
By the way, there's an MIT presentation sometime next week, okay, in Spain. Yeah, we sponsor the one on Monday. So Monday there will be an MIT presentation, but there's one next week, and MIT is a very good school. You should really consider. INSEAD has many presentations, but that's something that you have to see is that salaries you can get in America are much higher than the salaries you can get in Europe. Perspective, opportunities, there's nothing to compare. So of course it is more expensive. You have to know that the US MBA costs $300,000 altogether. So it's a lot of money, okay? More than twice the price of INSEAD, I agree with you, okay? But it's really worth it, okay? And you can get 300,000, yeah, 300,000. But at the end,
I have a
all my
question for
students find this
Maria.
money. They all find this money, the 200,000. Nobody tells me I don't find. They find ways. They get scholarship, they get loan, they get many. Yeah.
A question for Maria. You said that you chose Columbia over INSEAD. For one of the reasons was because it was in New York, and that it was in New York is the benefits were mostly personal, mostly professional, half and half.
Yeah, I would say half and half. INSEAD is outside Paris. It's like in Fontainebleau, which I wanted a big city because I like big cities, and that for me was very important. But then also the opportunities that I think job opportunities that you can get in New York are just like a lot and amazing. And I just wanted to like work in New York, and I think going to Columbia will really open those chances up. And going to INSEAD wouldn't really give me like, for example, I would have to stay in Europe. I would probably not have a visa, and I think it opens a lot of opportunities.
Now, what visa will you have after you graduate from Columbia?
I think you get 2 years or 3 years of a visa after you graduate.
You have a STEM. So Columbia is a STEM program, Kevin. So she will have a three-year visa.
Yeah.
You stay there. Yeah, 3-year visa. Now, basically, what I want to say is that there's something very important that I ask you to make a research on, is that it's the career center. So each school is going to publish statistics about where the students go. Okay. Today, 94. I'm not teasing you, okay? You're going to fall down when I give you the statistics. 94% of the students who study at INSEAD work in consulting. Okay, 94%. So it means that if you want something else, it's impossible. Okay, INSEAD is only a place where you can go to consulting. Okay, on that respect, LBS is better. Okay, or IND is better. Even HEC is better. Okay, so INSEAD, if you don't want to work in consulting, don't go there. You're wasting your time. They cannot help you. So the first thing that I would say that Maria wants to work in finance. We know that after Columbia she will work in finance. Okay. She will not be stuck. Second of all, administratively, you have a 3-year visa because it's a STEM program. And as you know, if you don't have a visa to stay in America, they will not take you. They don't want to bother with that. Okay. It's expensive. It's a long process. It's not sure. And finally, you have to see that Americans will never take you seriously if you studied in Europe. Okay, especially if you studied business in Europe. Okay, for them, and they are right, the best business schools are in America, and they don't understand why they're going to take someone who comes from LBS or INSEAD or IAC. They don't take you seriously. They don't even know what it is. You see, for instance, what's funny to say what Maria said. She said Fontainebleau. For them, they will tell the name of the school. They will not say INSEAD. They will say Fontainebleau, which is the name of the city. And it's a very small city with 20,000 inhabitants. So which is a bit strange. Okay, when they call your school Fontainebleau, it means that they don't even know your school. They just know the city of your school, which means that it tells a lot. Yeah. Okay, it tells a lot. It's like if I say to Kevin, the test prep that is in Kai Velasquez. I say no, it's Kevin. I'm strong with a top scorer. It's called GMAT class. Okay, they don't call it they don't call Kevin's company K Velasquez. Okay, because it means nothing. Okay, so basically it's very important to do so. So the only problem that we have with America is the financing. Okay, but I have an example of a colleague. His name is Aman, who got accepted to Duke. Duke has the 1-year program, and they paid everything for him. So the prime is the prime is $90,000. So they gave him $90,000 plus they gave him $30,000 for living expenses. Imagine, huh? So you can get full financing in America, and American schools have a lot of money. By the way, he got a loan. It didn't get so it's an 8% interest loan. So it's pretty high. Okay, but you get money. You find a way. You find a way. Schools are not stupid. Huh? Okay, me for instance, next year I'm going to UPenn, and I say, look, it's very expensive to move there. America is very expensive. I need $30,000. They say we give you 50%, and the rest we give you a loan. Imagine when I moved from Belgium to France to take my job as a professor, I didn't receive any money. Here they say we give you $30,000. Half of it is a loan. So in America, things are easy. Okay, things are easy. They understand that money is difficult, and these schools have money. So if they want to take you, they will find a way. Kevin, you have anything else to say? Because you're the one with the coordinator and the creator for that. So you have another question for Maria, Kevin?
No other questions. Not
Okay.
right now.
So basically, I don't know if I can have access to
What about
to
you? Do you have anybody here have a question for Maria, or for Dr. Hubert for that matter?
By the way, I will write a follow-up email, a follow-up SMS, if you don't mind, that you send to your students, Kevin, and so that they can contact me.
All right, good.
And also they will have access to the video because I have a YouTube channel. That's why we did it on my platform, because it has to go on my YouTube channel after that. Huh? Maria.
Lucas, nice to see you.
Yeah. But let's go one more minute. So Maria, you have anything else to say that you want to share with people? You were in their shoes like 9 months ago, huh?
Yeah, I would say don't worry if the first test doesn't go exactly the way you want it to. Like my first test didn't. I didn't get the score I wanted, and I just repeated it, and nothing happened. And like they don't look at whether it's your first time doing it or your second. Like just do it again, and you'll be fine. Like especially for me, I had very good exams and I had very bad exams in the practice test. So I knew it was kind of like a matter of time. So just don't worry about it.
Anybody has a question? Yeah.
Well, Maria, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us on a Saturday.
No worries. Thank you.
So what are you going to do in the next 1 month?
Me?
Yeah.
Just work and stay in Madrid, and I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So you have the funding already. You have the funding. Yeah, you say to pay something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because the funding is an issue as well. Huh? The funding is an issue as well. And let's move forward. So I will write to Kevin so that you can also contact me if you have any questions. Huh? Okay. I will try to come to Madrid every 2 months from next month, but we are very busy in Paris. So it's the way it is. So I wish you a good day to all of you, to Luca, to Ines, to Alvaro, to Carlos, and don't hesitate if you need to talk to me. Have a good day. Thank you very much, Maria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And
Bye-bye.
thanks,
Bye-bye,
Dr. Hubert.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.